It's time for CityBeat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson, only on 610 CHTM.
Good morning and welcome to CityBeat. My name is Jaret Schneider, and joining me today is City Manager Gary Ceppetelli. Good morning, City Manager.
Good morning.
Before we get into any of the questions, I'll first, as always, give you the first minute to run things down from the past week.
Sure, absolutely. What I'd like to sort of get out, the message to get out there is that we're starting to wrap up a lot of our 2013 capital projects, which, I mean, obviously residents will have noticed that we've completed the paving of Thompson Drive South and the TRCC parking lots and our portion of the UCN Ring Road. So I think that, I mean, obviously that those projects have gone quite well and sort of finishing up some of the fine details. Some of the other projects that we still have ongoing right now is some of the water utility aspects. The Oxford Bay project that was at a special meeting of council last night to address an issue, but also we have another capital project on Paint Road to try to resolve some of the drainage issues that the Burntwood Trailer Court currently has at this place here. So we're sort of getting to the end of those capital projects and would again like to extend our appreciation to the public for being patient with us as we've gone through them and put up with some of the disruptions that we've had in the community over the last few months or so, as well as sort of, I mean, we're getting into the season now that we're starting to transition from our summer to the winter, and I mean, obviously from both from a public works and rec perspective is sort of doing some of those activities as we transition to an indoor thing and on getting the pieces of equipment ready for the winter so that we're ready for that aspect, as well as we're in the portion which likely start our 2014 budget discussions, both internally from an administration standpoint and from council, and hopefully to have that process wrapped up prior to the end of the year, which really gives us a head start for our capital projects for 2014.
204. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to finally indicate that as well as part of that process will be sort of a long-range plan for the downtown strategy to be presented to council during budget discussions as well this year.
204-677-8181. Now, we'll get into each and every one of those things that you mentioned just a little bit a while ago. 204-677-8181, taking your calls, as I mentioned. Now, you mentioned some of the capital projects. Get into some of those and some of the details. I noticed actually some paving over on Thompson Drive North as well, but also some of the other ones that have been completed.
I think our two main capital projects were the Thompson Drive South and all the paving that has been done around the Thompson Regional Community Center. Some of the other paving aspects that have been done is more from an operational aspect and maintenance, where Public Works is are trying to identify sort of some of the real bad sort of potholed areas or deterioration of roads where we've actually, instead of really just repairing the pothole, we're trying to do a little bit more proactive so that the repairs last a little bit longer. So there's been a number of those patches throughout the community. You've mentioned obviously the one on Thompson Drive North by the library. So that is sort of some of the types of repairs that we're doing to fix some of the problem areas, but also sort of to repair where we've had water breaks and done some of those patches on the roadways in the city.
And now with some of this paving, how's the timeline for that? Are things kind of on pace as we move forward here into fall and then transition into winter?
Pretty much so. I mean, our paving for the most part is been done, and even the repair work is finalized. Obviously, that when we had our contractor up here, which was Maple Leaf, obviously they had an asphalt plant, and so we were buying product off of them to do our repairs, and so they've finalized the work up here with us, plus a number of other clients that they have, and they have moved out of the community. So paving for this year is pretty much done.
204-677-8181. Now, following Open Street Sunday, which was a couple of weeks ago, is there any plans now to develop maybe some bicycle lanes in the future or pave some wider sidewalks or anything like that?
I believe so. I think it's my understanding of the event, and I wasn't in town, is that it went quite well. It was well received, and a lot of participants in that 6 hours that where we blocked off a portion of Thompson Drive South and Cree Road to have that. And so I think it's something that we as a city are looking towards, to that more of that active transportation, and what that means in regards to sort of some of the bike lanes on existing roads, some of the multi-use paths. So I think that it's something that will continue forth in our capital planning as we move ahead. People will see there's a few multi-use paths that we've done this year on Thompson Drive South from the hospital to the intersection of Cree, and the other one was basically in front of the Artie Parker School, which really sort of gives people sort of a sense as to sort of that type of use, which it's more just for pedestrians, it's for the cyclists and things of that sort. So it's something that will continue in our capital planning. The other one, I mean, obviously, if people sort of drive UCN Drive, there will be markings on there for bike lanes, which obviously that's where we want to get. We're working closely with the regional health authority that's promoting this as well from an active transportation standpoint. So I think that as we move forward is developing that long-term plan as to what that active transportation network in the city looks like.
204-677-8181. Now, you mentioned off the top a little bit about the 2014 budget, so maybe just get into that and how things kind of work with that and where the city's kind of at with it.
Sure. So what we have is that we have a number of standing committees of council that report on specific things, and really from an administration standpoint is that the task is from administration to bring forth the capital projects for that specific area of responsibility to the standing committees, have the discussion at the standing committees, and then from that aspect is having those projects being brought forth to council as a whole during the budget deliberations. So what we'll have to do is, I mean, obviously take a look at the monies that are available that we get through a number of our granting programs from the senior levels of government, through Manitoba local government, through the federal gas tax, things of that sort, and then really to develop sort of the projects based on the resources that we have in our reserves and some of the grants that we get, and then sort of put forth that capital program as part of the budget process.
204-677-8181. Now, I know we held a special meeting of council last night, but there's also some other things coming up here in the next few weeks as we start to get back into the regular routine. So what are some of the things that we might see on the council agenda over the next couple months?
Well, I mean, the things that are coming forth really is, the normal requests that we get on a biweekly basis for that. A couple of things that, obviously, Monday night on the 23rd, we have a couple of presentations that'll be going forth as part of the whole Thompson Economic Development or Diversification Working Group process, and one is sort of the regional identity branding project that was been ongoing for about a year. So the consultants are in town and really sort of giving a presentation on that, and council will be dealing with that on Monday night. The other main aspect is still part of that process was sort of the Yale Newman secondary plan that we as a city were involved with the consultants as to sort of determine what that development of Yale Newman is, which is approximately about an 85-acre parcel of land, and how residents wanted to sort of see that develop. So what's going forth tonight is sort of one of the final revisions to that plan, and that'll be presented to council. So that is some of the things that'll be going forward. One of the other things that'll be going forward, likely in the next month and a half or so, is the school's safety zones. Province had just released a news release on Monday, sort of identifying certain criteria and parameters that communities would have to take a look at in passing a bylaw. We've been waiting some time for this as a city, that we've initiated the process and have given second reading to a bylaw, and we're just sort of waiting for the final criteria from the province. And now that we kind of have that, that'll go back to the standing committee and then on to council for third reading. 204-677-8181. Now, I know another thing we're getting into fall and winter is the rinks. I know we've got the CA Nesbitt open. It looks great. The ice is in. What about the Gordon Beard Arena? How are things coming with the ice in there? Well, the Gordon Beard Arena, I mean, obviously is what happens on an annual basis with the city, is that we put one arena in, or one ice surface in early in August to accommodate the demand and uses for the AAA midgets and a number of other groups. The second ice surface usually goes in and is ready for the right after the October long weekend. So the ice will go in approximately a week to 10 days before October long weekend, and then be ready for use for our normal scheduled user groups for the winter.
204-677-8181. Taking your calls to City Manager Gary Ceppetelli, 8181. Now, another thing you wanted to talk about was actually Hazardous Waste Day.
Yes, and I just wanted to sort of remind residents is that we have a household hazardous waste day once a year. This year it's going to be on Saturday, September 21st from 10 to 2 in the City Hall parking lot, and really it gives an opportunity for residents of the community to bring down all those types of hazardous waste that we can really ship out to the appropriate facilities as opposed to having them just being dumped in our landfill site. I mean, obviously, the intent is to bring them to this facility so that we can dispose of them properly. I think that as a city and in discussions with the local government district of Mystery Lake and the government of Manitoba, as conservation is to sort of how do we sort of develop a more sustainable plan for the city and area that hopefully will have more frequent spots for deposit or time periods where residents can actually drop it off more frequently as opposed to once during the year. Because I know that it's likely very difficult for individuals to sort of store it for a long period of time, and unfortunately in a lot of cases that product ends up in the landfill, which it shouldn't be. So we're still working on trying to get a lot more frequent pickups in that aspect, but here's the residents of the city's opportunity to drop off those household hazardous waste on September 21st from 10 to 2 at City Hall.
And that will just about wrap up City Beat for this week. But before we go, I'll give you the final minute to throw things ahead for the week ahead.
I think as you know, just that process in regards to as we begin to start planning for our 2014 year is that really that a number of projects that are taken forth. So I think that, I mean, obviously if there's ideas or things that will come forth, by all means, is have residents contact the city or the appropriate department with those things. And sort of the final say is that coming up in October as well as we're looking at planning once again the Speak Up Thompson meetings, which likely will be another 2 meetings in October. So we're just sort of finalizing some of those details, but that's also an opportunity for residents to come out and sort of voice their concerns or to come out and learn about as to what's happening in the city of Thompson as we move forward.
And that will do it for City Beat this week. Make sure to tune in every Thursday at 11:30 for more insight into your city and a chance to ask more questions. I would just like to thank City Manager Gary Ceppetelli for coming in today, and to everyone else, I hope you enjoy your Thursday.
City Beat will be back next Thursday morning at 11.